Hello, vloggers! It's been a little bit, been a hot minute. I just actually wanted to record this video to gush a little bit because I have a new daily routine that I've had for a few months now, and I've kept it sort of on the DL. I think maybe it's just like a self-consciousness, or I don't want to be like proclaiming myself as anything. But basically, every morning I've been writing, creative writing, a novel. And I've sort of hinted at this in some other vlogs or in just like bits and pieces, just as like I kind of say it because I'm excited about it, but I'll quickly sort of like excuse it or push it aside. But I'm having so much fun. Like, I'm well and truly addicted in a way that I just did not expect. I just didn't expect. I have not thought of myself as a writer, as someone who's always been a visual artist in every visual medium fathomable. I kind of just dismissed writing. I think for a few reasons. Like in high school, when I went to VCE, there are a few different writing classes you can pick from. And I'm so dumb. Like, obviously I'm not good with words in some sense because for my work experience, I wrote down painter as a preference, thinking, oh yeah, painting. I like painting pictures, and then I got like a wall painting work experience, which was crap. And obviously that's what I would end up with. So in high school, when you got to pick like there's like two or three versions of English subjects that you could pick. I didn't realize that what it would have been like English literature, which is like writing and reading, right? I chose English language, which I didn't know what that meant. But I guess I thought it was going to be more like the writing and reading stuff. But no, it was like phonetics and phonology and all the stuff I actually don't remember, and it bored the crap out of me and I got terrible marks. So I actually never in my education got the chance to explore creative writing, really. Especially not in adulthood. All the writing I've ever done, like my how to draw books and all this stuff, has all been very it's very tutorially, very guidancey. So I really haven't done much writing. I've done a lot of storytelling in my videos. That's what I do in every video, in how I structure the video. But also there are a lot of videos where what I draw is accompanied by a story I create, and I've always loved that, creating the reason for a certain, challenge that I take on and transform a character in a certain way or whatever it is. And storytelling has always been a real part of how I create art in my videos. But I've always just thought of it as the art, how to empower the art with the story, but the art was center stage, right? So I just never clicked that writing would be something I would actually fall in love with. So, the reason this started, that if I ripple back to the very start, there was an idea I had for what that I thought would be a really cool novel years ago, like 5 years ago, that I just sort of lodged at the back of my brain and thought, oh, that could be really cool, or maybe I'll try that one day. But it was just so distant, such a distant idea. And I never really put much into it. I did brainstorm quite a bit of stuff that I thought was cool, but it just sort of sat there. Then ripple, all the way through to last year when we ran the Space Bears Kickstarter with Tabletop Time, and the Kickstarter did really, really well. We beat all of our stretch goals that we'd prepared in the first 24 hours. So Dave and I were like, oh crap, we need more stretch goals. And so we're just throwing stuff around, and one of them was like a short story, Space Bear short story. And at the time I thought that should be fine, right? Like I'll find a ghostwriter or someone who I can commission with the Kickstarter proceeds to write a Space Bears short story, publish it as Tabletop Time and credit them, and that would be that. But then as it progressed, so we're delivering on Kickstarter goals, and we achieved that. We unlocked that stretch goal. And there's this short story to write. And I had sort of reached out to people and discussed commissioning the short story thing. But then it just sort of just tickled the back of my head, like, well, the Space Bears are kind of my thing, right? Like they were always the story that I came up with and told in various ways in my videos, and also obviously in how I designed my characters. And I sort of developed their narrative from basically like a 40k Space Wolves ripoff to their own sort of lore with a chapter master and a culture inspired by the Native American Ojibwe people. And I realized, okay, well, maybe I should do it, because it's kind of like, at the very least, with Space Bears, the Kickstarter being a success and then feeling like we've done it, it felt like, okay, well, maybe this is the way I get to sort of wrap it up in a bow and say goodbye as like this thing that I've done. Space Bears is done with that. So I decided, okay, I'll give it a go. I'm going to write the short story for Space Bears. And I started earlier this year. I started like 4 or 5 months back. And then we went on a holiday. I just sort of, I had rough ideas. I consulted with Chris Bellenew. I forget how his last name is pronounced, but he's a Anishinaabe or Ojibwe nation from America. He's actually also a 40k content creator. So I was able to consult with him a little bit on some of the ideas that I had and how I wanted to sort of incorporate some of the ideas of the Ojibwe nation, and but also like consult with people on my team and Dave about ideas of the story. So I'd done a really rough outline, like really rough, and I thought, okay, like this is pretty, I feel like this is a pretty solid short story. So we went on a holiday, my family and I, and I got extra time. So I'm like, well, I've learned about myself, I always need a project. I can't not work. It's just, even on a holiday, actually, honestly, especially on holiday, I go stir crazy. After 2 days max, I'm like, I need something to do. I can't chill by the pool. And ironically, I'm not a reader of books. I really struggle to read books. Love audiobooks because I can listen to them while I do stuff. So I started on the short story. And by the time I got home, I was like, okay, I've written like 14,000 words and we haven't even met the Space Bears yet. It's like the book is meant to be about Space Bears, and it takes place in another planet, sort of mining colony, and these civilians are escaping an alien threat that's coming up from the mines. And so I'm like, okay, I'm building this group of survivors first and introducing how the Space Bears sort of arrive and become a part of their survival story. And after 14,000 words, mind you, I'd like Googled, like after I wrote all that, I'm like, what's it, like the length of a short story is like 8,000 to 10,000 words. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not a short story. Maybe it's a novella, right? So, I recalibrated it a little bit, but I kept writing. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm writing a novella. So I got all the way up to introducing the Space Bears. And I think by this stage, I'm almost like, close to 20,000 words. And I'm like, this isn't even the first quarter of the book in terms of like what I've mapped out the contents will be. This is clearly the pace I am comfortable writing at, and I was really enjoying it. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to let this be what it is trying to be, but it also felt like I really hadn't properly thought or planned it out enough. So I went back to the very start, and every morning I'd get up at 6:30 a.m. and spend an hour or two before work sort of editing through my initial draft, rewriting the whole thing as an outline, and doing the whole book. I wrote the whole book in chapter outlines, including 4 interludes. And I ended up, as a result of that, with 19 chapters and 4 interludes. And if you sort of like roughly estimate about 4,000 words a chapter, which is currently what I'm sort of averaging, that brings it to proper like novel length, like 80,000 words. So I'm like, okay, this isn't a novella or a short story. I guess I'm writing a novel. So with the full outline done, went back to the very start, and now I think I think I'd say I'm at around halfway. I'm around 40,000 words, but also some of those chapters of the 19 chapters have already split into more than one chapter. So it's probably going to be closer to 100,000 words. And I'm having so much fun. I can't even explain. It's the weirdest thing. It's weird because I never expected it. And the reason I just wanted to make this vlog is because I tend to want to do this, especially when I have something I feel like I'm keeping to myself, and I really just want to splurge it out there. And that is every morning. I'm getting up earlier every morning because I'm so excited to keep going. Like, it's just so fun. I got up at 6 this morning, 6 the morning before. I'll write and often I'll be like, oh shit, I better go. I'm like, I've set my watch to 5 minutes ahead, which is the perfect mechanism for me, because I'll look at my watch and go, oh, I'm late. And I'll start scrambling to get ready for work, and I'll get here at 2 minutes to, like I'll be like, actually, I'm on time, because I just lose myself in this process. It's so fun. The feeling of having written for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and driving to work in silence, just feeling like I've been somewhere, like really been somewhere. And the exercise of, like, there's something really satisfying to the way I am creatively. When you consider what I do in the content that I do, pretty much all of my videos, I'm sort of puzzling something out, right? So whether it's like an art challenge, or it's like I spin a wheel and mix these two characters, or whether it's a new medium, or a very ambitious project, almost every project I do has an element of figuring out the puzzle and putting it together based on what I have figured out. That is exactly what writing to me feels like. It's like, okay, well, this is the scene I'm about to put into words. And the puzzle is, how do I do that in a way that feels, that sort of creates a telepathy, which is a way I love thinking about it now, which I learned from Stephen King's book on writing, which I listened to. And so I've been sort of trying to train myself, because I don't want to write something crap. Everything I see, and I've been trying to absorb a lot. I've been like following writers on YouTube and TikTok, and just like listening to audiobooks on this stuff. And everyone says the same thing. You're going to be crap when you start. Your first novel's going to be crap. And part of me accepts that. But there's another part of me that's just like, no, I don't want it to be crap. So I'll like absorb as much as I can. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And the puzzle to me is like, how do I write this in that telepathy way of like, where I can take you to this place that I am. Like I get there quite easily because I'm so used to living in my imagination. So the puzzle to me is, how can I use a formula of words to create a portal to pull someone else through to this place? Is this sentence emotive enough? Does this carry across how they would feel? Am I feeling enough what this person feels? Am I seeing enough what is in this scene? How do I create that in words in this writing? And that's the exercise every day. And it's such an exhilarating, fun, satisfying puzzle that every morning I finish ready to start work. I've technically been working since 6 a.m, but it's just so fun. And I feel so lame because authors talk about their books, right? And I'm like, I'm not even an author, I think, in my head, because I don't think of myself as that. I never have. And it really has out of nowhere become this passion that I'm like, interesting. And it has also become a really positive part of my daily routine now, where like I feel creatively filled, ready to take on the stuff I've been doing for 13 years now on YouTube with a sort of new vigor, which I'm just loving. It's so cool. So I'm not looking to end this routine of mine anytime soon. And when I finish my Space Bears novel, I'm going to start on that other one that I've had at the back of my head for a long time, which is interesting to me because the Space Bears novel, which was a short story, was something I didn't have any ideas for, didn't particularly care about needing to tell a certain story. I just found the story that I needed to tell or wanted to tell that really feels like me, that I feel like, oh, okay, well, there's my truth is in this. I can, you know, channel my honesty through this story. But then there's this other story that I've wanted to do. And I'm just like, okay, well, what's it going to feel like when I get to that? So anyways, I'm blabbering a lot. I just wanted to share that. I'm really excited. Anyone who's in the writing world, please let me know your recommendations on books that have inspired you, or creators who inspire you, whether they be, I think specifically, like, rather than sharing authors you love, because I have authors I love too, I'm really interested in people who talk about writing, because I want to learn about writing. So please share me your recommendations when it comes to books about writing, like the one I said, Stephen King's On Writing was fantastic. And I really admire Stephen King as well and his way of writing, but that's not my way of writing too, so I'm really enjoying finding my own voice. But also creators, I absorb a lot of content, so I'd love to know what you recommend, because I've found a few that I like, and I'd love to know, as someone very new to this area, what some of you who have been in this for a while could recommend to me. Also, tangent before I wrap up this vlog, I'm on Blue Sky now, which is an alternative to Twitter. I haven't used Twitter in years, realistically. Like, every now and then I'll pop in out of guilt to sort of see what people are, you know, tagging me with or whatever, but I just feel so disconnected from it. I just find the platform so vitriolic and acidic and contentious and crap. So I don't use it anymore. And I tried Threads and it really just didn't pull me in. But I've been seeing recommendations for Blue Sky, which is growing a lot at the moment. So I signed up and I tried it out, and I'm just finding it way more familiar and comfortable, and there's actually some features I really like on it. So it makes a lot more sense to me, and I think I'll be on there quite a bit. So please consider signing up for a Blue Sky account, and if you already have one, please follow me. I'm at jazzastudios.com. Side note, like, I really love the way, side note to my side note, I love the way that they are doing handles, so that rather than rushing in and like stealing a celebrity's handle or whatever, like the way of authenticating yourself is actually by using your website, your DNS. Like, you can link it to an official server. So because I own jazzastudios.com, I'm okay, well, I'm at jazzastudios.com, which is so great, because it's like, it's not the blue tick thing, and the whole platform is aimed at being decentralized, and you can own your own data, and you know, non-generative AI, and it's a very friendly place for artists and creatives. I'm just finding it a very warm, communal place, and I'm looking forward to connecting with some of you there as well. So please feel free to at me over on Blue Sky with your recommendations for writing stuff too. Anyways, I wanted to gush at you. I have done that for 18 minutes and I should get back to video work. But thank you for joining me and listening to all of this, all of my very self-excited gushing about more creative stuff. Bye.